Chapter 11 Revealing the Past. Months later, they were preparing for their real wedding, a celebration of love, not duty. Elara was going through old boxes in the attic, clearing out memories, when she found it. A diary she had kept during the first year of their marriage. She opened it, reading her own words from years ago. "He is so cold, so distant. I don't know how to reach him. I think I am making a mistake. I think I will never be happy here." She turned the page. Further in, later entries. "He stayed up all night helping me with that charity project. He didn't have to. But he did. He has a good heart, buried deep under all that armor. I saw him smile today. Really smile. It was the most beautiful thing I have ever seen. And I realized, I am falling in love with my husband. The man I wasn't supposed to love." Julian walked in behind her, reading over her shoulder. He wrapped his arms around her, resting his chin on her head. "You loved me then," he said softly, wonder in his voice. "Even when I was terrible." "Even then," Elara confirmed, closing the book and leaning back against him. "Love doesn't wait for people to be perfect, Julian. It loves them while they are becoming perfect." She turned to face him. "And you want to know the biggest secret I kept?" Julian raised an eyebrow. "More secrets." She smiled. "The man I said I was in love with, the one I compared you to. The one I thought was my dream. I realized a long time ago, he was just a fantasy one created because I was lonely. Because I was scared to love the man right in front of me. You were always the only real one." Julian kissed her deeply, pouring every ounce of relief, love, and gratitude into it. "You were my only reality," he whispered. "My only truth. My only love." They brought Liam up to the attic too, showing him old photos, telling him stories. They weren't hiding anything anymore. They were sharing it, learning from it, healing it. Arthur Vance's portrait looked down from the wall, the man who started it all, the man who believed they belonged together long before they did. "He knew," Julian said, looking up at his grandfather's face. "He knew we just needed time. And space. And pain, to find our way back to each other." "He was a wise man," Elara agreed. Julian held his wife and his son close. "We will name our next child after him," Julian said suddenly. "Arthur Vance II. To honor the man who gave us each other." Elara smiled, her heart full to bursting. A new child. A new life. A forever family. Chapter 12 The Vow Kept. The wedding day was beautiful, elegant, warm, full of joy. But this time, it wasn't a grand society event. It was small, intimate, with only people who truly loved them. Elara walked down the aisle not as a nervous girl doing her duty, but as a confident woman walking toward her destiny. Julian stood at the altar, looking at her like she was the only thing that had ever mattered. Liam stood beside him, dressed in a tiny suit, acting as the best man. When it came time for vows, they didn't read from cards. They spoke from the heart. "I married you once before," Julian began, his voice clear and strong. "And I promised to be your husband. But I failed. I was cold. I was distant. I was a stranger living in the same house." He took her hands in his. "Today, I make new promises. I promise to love you openly. I promise to listen to you. I promise to be your partner in everything. I promise to never make you feel like you have to run or hide again. I promise to be the father our son deserves. And I promise to spend every day making up for the years I wasted." Elara smiled through happy tears. "I married you once too," she said. "And I promised to stay. And I did. Even when I was sad. Even when I was lonely. Even when I ran away, I stayed yours in my heart." She squeezed his hands tight. "Today, I promise to trust you completely. To love you without fear. To build a home with you wherever we go. I promise that you are the only man I have ever loved, or will ever love. I promise that our story started long before we realized it, and it will never end." They exchanged rings, symbols not of duty, but of devotion. When they kissed, the crowd cheered, but they heard nothing but each other's hearts beating together. Years later, the Vance mansion was known not as a cold fortress of wealth, but as a home full of love and laughter. Liam grew up knowing he was loved by both parents. He grew up knowing that true love takes time, patience, and sometimes, a little bit of running away to find your way back. Julian and Elara never forgot the years they lost. But they celebrated the years they gained. They started with a contract. They ended with a legacy. They started as strangers. They ended as soulmates. And the vow Elara had kept hidden in her heart for so long, "I love you," was finally spoken loud, clear, and forever. They didn't just survive the marriage they were given. They built the love they always deserved.